Riley here. I've got a book to read to you today, and it's called Wiggly Worms at Work. So we're going to learn about what worms do in the soil. So, I hope you enjoy it. So look at the picture here. You can see somebody walking along the top of the dirt, and underneath the dirt, what do we see? We see lots of worms. So it's kind of cool. We're going to learn what they're doing down there in the dirt below our feet. So, down in the ground under your feet, thousands of worms wiggle around flower bulbs and tunnel under trees. They twist and turn, eating almost everything in their way. These wiggling worms are at work. Let's find out what their job is, what they do. Farmers plow fields to loosen the dirt. They crumble the soil. Worms also loosen the dirt as they wiggle along. They are called nature's plows. As they twist their little bodies, it loosens the soil. Then the rain comes down into the soil and it gives the soil all the nutrients it needs to help things grow. Keeps the ground nice and moist. So look, there's the farmer doing his job and there's the worm doing his job. Can you see that big worm? Worms tunnel in hard-packed soil by swallowing it. Oh, so they eat it, then the soil goes into their mouth, and then it goes on to the crops. So look here. What's happening here? Worms do not have teeth. Mussels, fine grains of sand, and small stones are what they eat. It goes into their digestive tract, and then they pass it through them, and it goes into the soil and gives nutrients. Ooh, look at this worm. Sometimes worms crawl above the ground, sometimes they go below the ground. Above the ground, they get to eat dead leaves, plants, and enjoy them. These plants make the soil better as they rot. Seeds come down too. Some of these seeds send out roots. Seedlings sprout. Worms help new plants begin to grow. So look right here. A little seed landed here, and look, the roots are coming down below. Worms can wiggle, twist, turn, and even tie themselves into little knots because they don't have any bones either. Their soft little bodies are called segments. These segments act like coils on a slinky toy. They let the worm bend. So that's kind of cool. It has no teeth and no bones. Interesting. And look, here's a little robin. This little worm is lucky he's hiding underneath the soil because robins like to eat worms. So he's lucky he's down there and he's safe and sound. Sometimes worms crawl to the surface to find food. They find dead plants like we talked about before. These plants contain bacteria that the worms like to eat. Worms pick through leaves. Worms also eat fungi and mold. So like mushrooms and different things like that they might find, they like to eat those too. Interesting. We're learning lots of stuff about worms today. Let's see here. Look at that worm. He's coming up through the top and he's just about to come back up to the surface. In spring, before the weather warms, worms wiggle to the surface to mate. Oh dear. Worms are different from most other animals. Each worm is both male and female. Oh, interesting. But each one still needs a mate. After mating, each worm crawls back into its burrow. When the weather cools, a little cocoon forms near the head of each worm that has made it. Slowly the worm begins to move backwards. In a few minutes, the cocoon slips off the worm's head just as a ring would if it was on your finger. The ends of the cocoon close, and inside there are some eggs, so some little babies waiting to be born. And look here. Look what we're seeing here. It takes about 3 weeks for the egg to hatch, and then the babies are born. They wiggle on the ground, loosening the soil and making tunnels. Even tiny worms can help make the soil healthy. Look at that's what they're doing as soon as they're born. These babies grow fast. In 6 weeks, they are adult worms. Wow, so in 6 weeks they become adults. A lot quicker than humans. And in winter, when it freezes, the worms plug up their tunnels so that the soil underneath stays warm. And then when it's cold on top, they're in the soil and it's nice and warm. They go really far down. Vegetables and flowers grow better. Trees grow bigger. Grass grows greener, all because of thousands of little worms that are doing their jobs. My goodness. So that's our book, boys, called Wiggling Worms, and the author is Wendy Felfer, and it's called Wiggling Worms at Work. So I hope you guys enjoyed learning about worms. Have a great day.